Good evening, everyone. Tonight we're going to talk about something your doctor probably never mentioned: clove water. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is just another internet remedy, let me stop you right there. The science behind this humble spice is astonishing, and it's not some new age hype. It's biochemistry. Cloves have been part of traditional medicine for centuries, from Ayurveda to Chinese herbal therapy, but only recently have we begun to understand why they work. When you drink clove water at night, you're not just hydrating, you're triggering a cascade of metabolic, anti-inflammatory, and detoxification processes that your body wants to perform while you sleep. And here's the truth. While modern medicine focuses on symptom management, nature, in her quiet way, has always provided the tools for prevention and restoration. So tonight we're pulling back the curtain on 15 scientifically plausible health benefits of clove water that most doctors don't talk about, not because they're hiding it, but because our system simply doesn't teach it. Let's dive in. One molecule, one metabolic pathway, one nightly ritual at a time. Let's start with what might be the most misunderstood word in nutrition today: antioxidant. We've been told for years that antioxidants are good for you, but very few people can actually explain why. It's not magic, it's chemistry. And it's central to understanding why clove water, particularly taken at night, is such a potent ally for your health. Every cell in your body burns energy. That's how you move, breathe, think, and sleep. But this process of energy production, called oxidative phosphorylation, also produces something else: free radicals. Think of them as sparks from a campfire. In small amounts, those sparks are manageable. Your body has natural fire extinguishers, molecules like glutathione and enzymes like superoxide dismutase that keep them in check. But when the sparks become a wildfire, when oxidative stress overwhelms your natural defenses, that's when the damage starts. DNA mutations, mitochondrial dysfunction, cellular aging, chronic disease. And here's where clove water enters the picture. Cloves contain a compound called eugenol. Chemically, eugenol is a phenolic compound, and that means it's extraordinarily good at donating hydrogen atoms to neutralize free radicals. In plain English, eugenol grabs those damaging sparks and snuffs them out before they ignite inflammation and disease. Now, why does this matter at night? Because nighttime is when your body performs its maintenance work. During the day, you're in go mode, fighting off stress, digesting food, chasing deadlines. But at night, your body switches gears. The liver detoxifies. The brain flushes out metabolic waste through the glymphatic system. Cells repair DNA and restore their energy-producing mitochondria. It's like the body's version of taking out the trash, scrubbing the floors, and tuning up the machinery. Here's the catch. All that repair work creates oxidative stress. It's an unavoidable byproduct of healing. If your antioxidant defenses are low, if you've been eating poorly, sleeping badly, or living under constant stress, your body simply can't keep up. That's when you wake up groggy, inflamed, and more tired than when you went to bed. Now imagine drinking clove water an hour before bed. You're giving your system an infusion of natural antioxidants right when your body needs them the most. You're essentially arming your cells for the repair shift. Eugenol doesn't just float around aimlessly. It targets lipid peroxidation, protecting the fats in your cell membranes from oxidative damage. It also helps preserve vitamin E, another critical fat-soluble antioxidant, so your natural defenses last longer into the night. But the story doesn't end there. Eugenol also modulates certain signaling pathways, particularly NF-E and NRF2. Those sound like alphabet soup, but they're the master switches for inflammation and antioxidant response. When NF-E is overactive, it tells your body to stay inflamed. When NRF2 is activated, as eugenol can help do, your cells turn on their own antioxidant defense genes. In other words, clove water doesn't just bring antioxidants into your body, it teaches your body to make more of its own. That's a sustainable system. And there's something elegant about doing this through a spice. We've been conditioned to believe that healing comes in the form of pills or powders, but sometimes the most powerful interventions are the simplest ones: water and a plant. No preservatives, no side effects, no hidden sugars, just chemistry working in your favor. Of course, let's be clear, clove water isn't a miracle cure. It's not going to erase years of poor diet or undo metabolic damage overnight, but it's a tool, and a remarkably efficient one. When used consistently, say, a cup of warm clove water before bed, it can become part of your nightly metabolic hygiene. You brush your teeth to protect your enamel. Why not drink clove water to protect your cells? And the best part? The benefits compound. Over time, reducing oxidative stress means less inflammation, less cellular damage, and more efficient energy production. That translates into better sleep quality, improved focus, and even healthier skin. Because oxidative damage doesn't discriminate. It affects everything from your liver to your epidermis. Modern medicine tends to treat antioxidants like an afterthought, something you get from a multivitamin if you remember to take it. But nature doesn't work in isolation. In cloves, eugenol comes packaged with other phytonutrients that enhance its absorption and effect. That's the brilliance of whole food medicine. It's not one molecule doing the job, it's an orchestra, and eugenol is just the conductor making sure every section plays in harmony. So when you sip that cup of clove water at night, you're not indulging in some wellness fad. You're participating in a deeply biological process, supporting your body's own nightly reset, one antioxidant molecule at a time. That's not alternative medicine. That's just good biochemistry. And if more people understood that, maybe we'd start seeing prevention not as a buzzword, but as the foundation of real health. Let's talk about two processes your body performs whether you help it or not: digestion and detoxification. They're as fundamental as breathing, yet most people treat them as afterthoughts, only paying attention when something goes wrong. Heartburn? Reach for an antacid. Constipation? Grab a laxative. Fatigue and brain fog? Call it just getting older. But here's the reality. Your digestive and detox systems are not just pipes and filters. They are complex, interdependent biochemical networks that determine how efficiently your body converts food into usable energy and how effectively it gets rid of metabolic waste. And here's where clove water, especially taken at night, enters as a quiet but powerful ally. Cloves, the dried flower buds of the Syzygium aromaticum tree, contain an impressive cocktail of bioactive compounds, primarily eugenol, but also gallic acid, flavonoids, and tannins. These aren't just flavor molecules, they're signaling agents that interact with your enzymes, your gut microbiota, and even your liver cells. When you steep cloves in water, these compounds dissolve, creating a potent infusion that primes your digestive system to function smoothly and supports your liver, the unsung hero of detoxification, in doing its nightly work. Here's the physiology. Digestion is not just about breaking food down. It's about communication between organs. The stomach, pancreas, intestines, and liver all talk to one another via hormones and nerve signals. Clove compounds stimulate the secretion of digestive enzymes, amylase, lipase, and protease, which help break down carbohydrates, fats, and proteins into absorbable forms. That's the first win. Better nutrient absorption, less fermentation, and fewer digestive complaints like bloating or gas. But what makes clove water unique is its timing. When consumed at night, it doesn't just aid digestion from your last meal, it supports the next critical stage, detoxification. While you sleep, the liver shifts from daytime processing mode to repair mode. This is when it metabolizes toxins, drugs, and waste products from normal cellular metabolism. The problem is, if your liver is inflamed, overloaded, or sluggish, as it often is in modern lifestyles, this process becomes inefficient. You wake up tired, puffy, or with that unmistakable morning fog. Eugenol in cloves acts as a hepatoprotective compound, meaning it shields liver cells from oxidative stress. It stabilizes cell membranes and enhances the activity of antioxidant enzymes like glutathione peroxidase and catalase. These enzymes neutralize reactive oxygen species that accumulate during detoxification. In simpler terms, eugenol helps your liver take out the trash without getting burned in the process. Think of it like upgrading the filtration system in a factory. Everything runs cleaner and smoother. Now, here's something fascinating. The gut and liver are part of the same highway, called the enterohepatic circulation. If your gut microbiome is out of balance, too many bad bacteria, too few beneficial ones, toxins can leak back into circulation, forcing the liver to do double the work. Clove's antimicrobial properties help here too. Eugenol and tannins suppress pathogenic bacteria like E. coli and Clostridium perfringens, while allowing beneficial species to thrive. This rebalances the gut ecosystem, reducing endotoxin load and improving bile flow. The result? A digestive system that functions more efficiently and a liver that doesn't have to constantly fight fires. Now let's talk about inflammation, because it's the bridge between poor digestion and poor detox. Every time you eat ultra-processed food, drink alcohol, or sleep too little, you create a low-grade inflammatory environment in your gut. The intestinal lining becomes permeable, what we call leaky gut, allowing bacterial fragments called LPS lipopolysaccharides to enter the bloodstream. The liver detects these fragments and mounts an immune response, producing cytokines that keep you in a chronic state of inflammation. Here's where clove water steps in again. Eugenol has been shown to suppress pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha and IL-6, and to inhibit COX enzymes, the same targets as NSAIDs, but without the gastrointestinal side effects. When you drink clove water at night, it helps calm the inflammatory crossfire between the gut and the liver, allowing both organs to recover and restore their normal function. You might not feel it instantly, but over time the difference is profound. Fewer digestive upsets, more consistent energy, and a clearer mind in the morning. There's also a subtle neurological effect worth mentioning. The gut communicates directly with the brain through the vagus nerve, the gut-brain axis. When digestion is smooth and the liver is functioning well, your parasympathetic system, the rest and digest mode, stays dominant. That means your sleep is deeper, your heart rate steadier, and your metabolism more balanced. Clove's mild aromatic compounds can even promote relaxation, further enhancing this restorative state. So what does this all mean in practical terms? A simple nightly ritual. A cup of warm clove water can help reset two of the body's most overworked systems. It's not a detox in the trendy sense, it's a physiological tune-up. You're supporting enzyme production, balancing the microbiome, enhancing liver resilience, and calming systemic inflammation, all while you sleep. That's not superstition. That's biochemistry meeting common sense. And it's exactly the kind of quiet, natural intervention that our over-medicated culture often overlooks. You don't need a $100 supplement or a juice cleanse to detoxify. You need your body working the way it was designed to. Sometimes, all it takes is a few cloves, a cup of water, and a little respect for the biology that runs the show while you're asleep. If there's one thing modern medicine consistently underestimates, it's the quiet power of chronic inflammation. We think of inflammation as something visible, a swollen joint, a sore throat, a cut that's red and puffy. But the most dangerous inflammation is the kind you can't see, the silent, smoldering fire that burns deep within your cells, day after day, eroding your health molecule by molecule. It's the root of nearly every chronic disease we face today: diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, even depression. And here's where clove water, yes, that simple nighttime tonic, enters the story as both a firefighter and a shield. Cloves contain one of the most pharmacologically active natural compounds ever studied, eugenol. If inflammation is your body's overreaction to stress or injury, then eugenol is nature's calm, rational response. It doesn't suppress your immune system, it modulates it. That distinction is critical. Modern anti-inflammatory drugs like NSAIDs or corticosteroids work by shutting down the inflammatory response altogether. They silence the alarm but don't address the cause. Eugenol, on the other hand, helps your body restore balance. It reduces excessive inflammation without crippling your ability to fight infection or repair tissue. Let's talk mechanism. Because Dr. Robert Lustig would never leave it at the buzzwords. Inflammation is orchestrated by signaling molecules like NF-κB, nuclear factor, kappa light chain enhancer of activated B cells. When you're under constant oxidative or metabolic stress from sugar, processed food, lack of sleep, or chronic infection, NF-κB stays switched on. It tells your cells to produce cytokines like TNF-alpha, Illinois-1-FET, and IL-6, which then circulate through your body, keeping you in a perpetual state of alert. That's metabolic chaos. Eugenol has been shown to directly inhibit the activation of NF-κB, effectively turning down that inflammatory volume knob. At the same time, it activates NRF2, a transcription factor that triggers your body's own antioxidant defense system. That's the beauty of eugenol. It doesn't fight inflammation for you. It reminds your body how to fight it correctly. And the timing matters. Drinking clove water at night aligns perfectly with your body's circadian rhythm of repair. While you sleep, cortisol levels drop and melatonin rises. Melatonin isn't just a sleep hormone, it's also a powerful anti-inflammatory molecule. When you pair that with eugenol, you create a biochemical environment where repair can flourish. Your immune cells, particularly macrophages, shift from an aggressive attack mode to a regenerative cleanup mode. They stop destroying and start rebuilding. Now let's look at the immune side of the equation. Your immune system isn't just about fighting viruses or bacteria. It's about maintaining homeostasis. Balance, chronic inflammation throws that balance out of whack. It keeps your immune system in a constant state of low-grade activation, which eventually leads to exhaustion. That's why people with inflammatory conditions often get sick more easily. Their immune system is tired, confused, and misdirected. Clove water helps recalibrate this. Eugenol and other polyphenols in cloves enhance the activity of white blood cells, especially lymphocytes, which are essential for adaptive immunity. They also increase the production of interferons, signaling proteins that help your body recognize and destroy pathogens more efficiently. Meanwhile, the antimicrobial properties of cloves help keep your internal ecosystem in check, reducing the burden of harmful microbes in the gut, mouth, and respiratory tract. Remember, about 70% of your immune system resides in your gut, so supporting microbial balance is essentially supporting immunity. Here's something most people miss: chronic inflammation isn't just about what's happening in your bloodstream. It's about energy. Inflammation hijacks your mitochondria, the tiny power plants in your cells. When they're under siege, they produce less ATP and more reactive oxygen species, essentially smoke instead of electricity. That's why inflammation feels like fatigue. Eugenol's antioxidant and anti-inflammatory actions help protect mitochondrial membranes from oxidative damage, restoring efficient energy production. When you wake up after a week of drinking clove water at night and realize you feel less sluggish, that's not placebo, that's mitochondria breathing easier. There's also a neuroimmune angle here. The brain is particularly vulnerable to inflammation because its immune cells, microglia, are hypersensitive. Chronic systemic inflammation keeps them in an overactive state, which is now linked to brain fog, anxiety, and neurodegenerative diseases. Studies suggest that eugenol can cross the blood-brain barrier and help temper microglial activation. That means clove water doesn't just calm your body, it may also calm your mind. You sleep deeper, think clearer, and wake up more emotionally balanced because your brain is finally getting a break from biochemical noise. But let's bring this back to practicality. You don't need a lab or a prescription to reap these benefits. Just a few cloves, 3 to 5, steeped in warm water for 10 minutes before bed. The resulting infusion is mild, aromatic, and surprisingly potent. Over time, it can help lower inflammatory markers, improve immune resilience, and enhance your body's natural ability to repair itself while you rest. Now, no, this isn't a cure-all if your diet is still full of ultra-processed foods and your sleep schedule is chaos. Clove water can't fix that. But it can give your body the biochemical nudge it needs to reset its inflammatory and immune equilibrium. It's a nightly reminder that medicine doesn't always come in tablets or capsules. Sometimes it comes in the form of a spice your grandmother used to simmer in her tea. Inflammation is the body's cry for balance. Clove water, humble as it seems, helps answer that cry, not by silencing it, but by restoring harmony. And that, in essence, is the foundation of true preventive medicine, helping the body remember how to heal itself. If you really want to understand the modern health crisis, obesity, diabetes, fatigue, even mood disorders, you have to start with one molecule, insulin. It's not just a hormone, it's the biochemical traffic cop that directs where energy goes in your body. When insulin works properly, glucose from your food is used efficiently, some for immediate energy, some stored in the liver and muscles for later. But when insulin signaling goes haywire, as it does in most of us living on processed foods and chronic stress, the entire system collapses. That's insulin resistance, the point at which your cells stop listening. Now here's where clove water, yes, the same spice water your grandmother might have sworn by, becomes surprisingly relevant. Cloves contain eugenol, along with several lesser-known compounds like beta-caryophyllene and flavonoids that have powerful effects on glucose metabolism. These compounds don't act like drugs. They act like teachers. They remind your cells how to listen to insulin again. And when you drink clove water at night, when insulin sensitivity naturally dips, you're giving your body a gentle biochemical nudge toward balance. Let's break it down. During the day, your metabolism is focused on energy use, burning calories, processing glucose, staying alert. At night, your body switches gears, insulin secretion decreases, growth hormone rises, and your liver starts clearing out excess glucose and triglycerides. If you're insulin resistant, though, this nighttime transition doesn't go smoothly. Your liver keeps pumping glucose into the bloodstream, your pancreas keeps secreting insulin to control it, and you end up in a metabolic tug-of-war even while you sleep. That's why insulin-resistant people often wake up tired, hungry, and foggy. Their biochemistry spent the night in chaos. Clove water helps recalibrate that process. Eugenol has been shown in both animal and human studies to enhance the activity of key metabolic enzymes, particularly those involved in carbohydrate breakdown and insulin receptor sensitivity. It promotes the uptake of glucose into muscle cells by improving the translocation of GLUT4 transporters, the very same mechanism targeted by certain diabetes drugs like metformin, but achieved here naturally and without the side effects. Think of it as oiling the hinges of your cellular doors so insulin can open them more easily. But it doesn't stop there. Eugenol also inhibits the activity of alpha amylase and alpha glucosidase, the enzymes responsible for breaking complex carbohydrates into glucose. In simpler terms, it slows the release of sugar into your bloodstream, preventing those wild spikes and crashes that wreak havoc on your energy and appetite. If you've ever had a late-night craving or woken up starving, that's your blood sugar roller coaster in action. Clove water helps smooth that ride. There's also an indirect but crucial effect on fat metabolism. When insulin levels stay high, your body is in storage mode. It locks fat in your adipose tissue and prevents your cells from using it for energy. But by improving insulin sensitivity, clove water allows your body to shift into burn mode more efficiently, especially overnight. That's why many people report feeling lighter, less bloated, and more energetic. after consistently drinking clove water. It's not magic, it's metabolic efficiency. Now let's talk about inflammation again, because you can't separate it from metabolism. Chronic inflammation drives insulin resistance, and insulin resistance in turn fuels inflammation. It's a vicious biochemical loop. Bogenol interrupts that loop by suppressing inflammatory pathways like NF-κB and reducing oxidative stress in pancreatic beta cells, the very cells responsible for insulin production. Protecting those cells is like protecting the command center of your metabolic army. When they're functioning properly, insulin levels stay stable and glucose control becomes almost effortless. And timing matters. Drinking clove water at night allows these mechanisms to work when your body is naturally inclined toward repair and recalibration. It's like sending in a maintenance crew after hours. No interference, no stress hormones flooding the system, just quiet biochemical restoration. Your liver, the chief metabolic organ, particularly benefits. Eugenol enhances hepatic enzyme function, helping the liver convert glucose to glycogen and detoxify excess byproducts that contribute to metabolic sluggishness. But the story isn't just physiological, it's behavioral. When your blood sugar is balanced, you sleep better. Stable glucose means stable melatonin and cortisol rhythms, which translates into deeper rest, and deep sleep in turn improves insulin sensitivity. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. One that starts with a small, deliberate act like drinking clove water before bed. Let's be honest, our modern world runs on sugar, not just the white powder, but the metabolic equivalent of it. Processed food, stress, sleep deprivation, all of it keeps insulin levels chronically high. We've turned a short-term survival mechanism into a long-term disease. Clove water isn't a miracle cure for that, but it is a reminder that small, consistent habits can restore balance to a system we've pushed too far. And this isn't alternative medicine, it's biochemistry grounded in evidence. Every enzyme, every receptor, every pathway involved has been mapped. What's missing isn't the data, it's the daily practice of applying it. When you sip clove water before bed, you're not detoxing in the trendy sense, you're recalibrating your metabolism to do what it's always meant to do. Burn clean, rest deeply, and wake renewed. That's the difference between symptom management and true metabolic health. Clove water doesn't force your system. It reminds it. It doesn't medicate. It educates. And if there's one lesson our modern diet needs most, it's how to listen again to insulin, to hunger, to balance. Sometimes a few cloves steeped in warm water can do what 1,000 diet fads cannot. Bring your metabolism back home. Let's start with something simple. Health begins at the mouth. It's not just where food enters, it's where metabolism, immunity, and even disease start. Your mouth is a living ecosystem, home to more than 700 species of bacteria, some beneficial, others downright destructive. And every night, while you sleep, that ecosystem either helps you heal or quietly sabotages you. The difference often depends on what kind of internal environment you've built during the day and what you do before bed. Now here's where clove water, humble as it seems, becomes a quiet revolution in nightly health. The clove has been revered for centuries for its powerful antimicrobial and anesthetic properties. In fact, if you've ever had a toothache, you've probably heard of clove oil. The active compound responsible for that numbing, soothing effect is eugenol, a natural phenol that does far more than dull pain. Eugenol doesn't just kill bacteria, it restores balance. It targets the pathogens that cause gum disease, bad breath, and oral inflammation without wiping out the beneficial bacteria that keep your mouth and digestive tract in check. When you drink clove water at night, especially after brushing, you're essentially giving your oral microbiome a rinse of equilibrium. It's a way of resetting the microbial clock before you go into the 7-8 hour fast of sleep. During sleep, saliva production drops dramatically, which is why morning breath exists. Your mouth becomes dry and bacteria flourish. But eugenol and the tannins in cloves inhibit the growth of Streptococcus mutans, the main culprit behind cavities, as well as fungi like Candida albicans. So instead of waking up with that stale, sour feeling, your mouth stays cleaner, your gums less inflamed, and your breath notably fresher. That's not cosmetic, that's systemic. Because oral health is the gateway to metabolic health. Here's the thing, chronic gum inflammation doesn't just make your dentist frown, it raises your systemic inflammation levels, increasing your risk of heart disease and insulin resistance. The bacteria from inflamed gums can actually enter the bloodstream, travel to the arteries, and promote plaque formation. It's called the oral systemic link, and it's one of the most underappreciated pathways in chronic disease. By supporting oral hygiene at the microbial level, clove water indirectly protects your cardiovascular and metabolic systems as well. But clove water doesn't stop at the mouth. It also supports the airways. The second most critical channel for life, the aroma and bioactive compounds in cloves have mild expectorant and anti-inflammatory effects on the respiratory tract. They help soothe inflamed mucous membranes, reduce throat irritation, and promote easier breathing, especially valuable during the dry, cool hours of the night when airways tend to constrict. For people who snore or have mild sleep apnea, this can make a surprising difference. Clearer airways means smoother airflow, and smoother airflow means better oxygenation and less nighttime stress on the heart and brain. Now let's talk about something that most people don't connect with a spice like clove sleep. You might not think of clove water as a sleep aid, but it plays one of the most fundamental supporting roles in restorative rest. How? By calming the body's inflammatory and microbial load before sleep begins. The same eugenol that kills oral bacteria also exerts a mild sedative effect on the nervous system. It modulates the release of neurotransmitters like GABA, the brain's primary calm-down chemical, helping your body transition into parasympathetic dominance, the rest and digest state. When your body is inflamed, overloaded with toxins, or constantly battling microbes, it can't relax. You might fall asleep, but you don't stay in deep sleep, the kind where your brain detoxifies, memories consolidate, and your hormones reset. By reducing inflammation, stabilizing blood sugar, and calming the nervous system, clove water paves the way for more consistent restorative sleep. You don't just